Not too long ago, I invited Benjamin So to appear at Etchin program, and we were talking about cybersecurity. Today we have a Ben with us, but he is not in Hong Kong anymore. He is in New
Mhm.
Zealand, in a city called Christchurch. Ben, it's good to
Yes.
be appearing at Chin Chin again.
Thanks for having me back, Ed.
Now, last time when you were in Hong Kong, the national security law was just enacted. And since then,
Yes.
right now we're getting close to the end of the year. A lot of people
Mm.
um, have been arrested. The scholarism trio, or I should say ex-scholarism trio, uh,
Mhm.
I think they are detained right now, and
Mhm.
the sentence will be passed sometime next week. A lot of people
Right.
are concerned about whether Hong Kong, the so-called two systems, would be intact or not. But theoretically, I think forget about whether we have two systems. Most people are thinking about leaving Hong Kong now, uh,
Absolutely.
especially going to the UK as of January of next year. The gate is open, and I think there'll be a lot of people moving to the
Mhm.
UK and also Canada. They came up with a very generous, I should say, more like an immigration scheme for young people who
Yes.
graduate from higher
Right.
education. That's a fact, and people can read about it online or through other media. Not a lot of people know about New Zealand. And it's one of the smallest Five Eyes countries, meaning US,
Mm.
UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. And we haven't
Yes.
really heard much about any incentive to incentivize, Hong Kong people from moving over.
No. 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 Not yet.
Yeah,
And there are some reasons for that. We just had an election. The Labour government won the well, this remained in power. So they have another 3 years, and I believe now most of the cabinet assignments have been made. So we should see some policy announcements being made if they are to come soon.
right. Now, New Zealand is very famous for a lot of things. Well, a lot of people say if your server will be attacked, best not to have your security system in the so-called Western Hemisphere, but down under
Hmm.
New Zealand. That's the place where it will be least hacked. And then you had
Could be.
some sort of an internet icon. I forgot his name. Um,
Oh, Kim.com. Yes, yes, yes.
Kim.com, right?
He's
Yeah, Kim.com is
yes, yes.
an icon.
Right, right.
And then
Yeah.
I don't know whether he is out from jail or not yet. Kim was pretty.
He's always in the yeah, he's always in legal trouble. I think he's a free man at the moment.
He is a free
Yeah,
man.
but he's always a man of controversy.
Yeah. But I know New Zealand. I have never been to New Zealand. I went to Australia
Mm,
a few times, but people know of New Zealand as the place where they shoot Lord of the Rings.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and
Yeah, there's a lot of filmmaking here.
yeah, you you actually you left Hong Kong and then you moved to New Zealand with your parents when you were a kid, right?
That's right. That's right. So I was born in Hong Kong, but we left really early when I was still a baby, and so I did all my schooling here in New Zealand,
Right.
and yeah, it was only latterly about 8 years ago that I really moved back to Hong Kong to live for the first time.
Okay, okay.
Mm.
So let's say people just come to New Zealand for study.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now I know you have a very good chiropractic school in New Zealand. I forgot which city, but
I didn't even know that. Maybe in Dunedin, is it University of Otago? That's got the oldest medical school anyway in New Zealand.
chiropractic
Yeah,
college something. So they attract a
could
lot of
be.
people from Canada. Actually, um,
Oh,
Canada only got
okay.
two chiropractic schools. One is taught in,
Yep, yep.
one is in Ontario. I think they will have another one in
Okay.
British Columbia soon.
Right, right.
Um, And then
Yeah.
New Zealand is also famous to be, a place where people, it's good for retirement, put it this way. Social welfare is good, but not a good thing.
That's not bad. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe not something that a young business person aspire to, but definitely you got a more balanced lifestyle. And then,
Hmm.
but let you tell us more about New Zealand in general.
Yeah, sure. Oh, well, maybe I think that stereotype doesn't apply so much now. So I hear a lot of times when I talk to people in Hong Kong about New Zealand, the first response I always get is, "Oh, it's beautiful, but," and there's always a but. It's too quiet or it's too boring, and I object to that because it's not boring at all. As you know, we were just chatting, you and I, Ed, just before this recording, that we're on a road trip around New Zealand, and we've spent about 6 days already traveling around in a camper van, and there's just so much to see. With the travel situation at the moment, um, it's not really worthwhile to go overseas. I mean, when you come back to New Zealand, you have to go through a 2 week quarantine period, which you now have to pay for. So, it's not worth the time and expense. So instead, a lot of people are traveling around New Zealand. There's just wonderful scenery. I'll send you some pictures later, and you can share those with your viewers. It's just fabulous. And I know a lot of people are aware of this. But the thing is, it's not just a tourist destination. I think people don't appreciate the fact that it's also the lifestyle you have here. I mean, basically, we're two large islands in the middle of the Pacific Ocean,
Right.
so everything is around the beach. Where my parents live up in Auckland, it's a suburb, but it's very close to town. It's a 10-minute bus ride and a 10-minute walk to the seaside. And I would say it's even more beautiful than, let's say, Repulse Bay or some of the more renowned beaches in Hong Kong.
Right.
And I give an example. I just joined up at the local boating club there, which sounds really fancy when you talk about a yachting club in Hong Kong.
Mhm.
People have a certain impression of what that means, right?
Royal Hong Kong Yacht Club in Cosmo.
Yes, exactly.
Very expensive.
And sure, exactly. And you've got 50-foot yachts and so on. That's not what we're about in New Zealand. You just go down. People are in shorts, t-shirts, and they'll just take out the little sailing dinghy to go out. And it costs next to nothing. You get all those facilities. You get access to their members lounge. I mean, it's not as fancy as, of course, as the Jockey Club or the Hong Kong Club. It's not that sort of a club. But
Yes.
what it does mean is, you have access to the water. You can sail on the boats. You pay a bit more, and you can get lessons as well. So it's a different way of looking at things. And if you enjoy the outdoors, if you enjoy an active lifestyle, it's not boring. So if Hong Kongers move, they can't expect to have wall-to-wall shopping centers all over the place. That's not what you're going to get. So you need to adjust your expectations. But I would say that it's even more interesting and more challenging. You can go walk in the mountains, go camping. So, when people say in Hong Kong the hiking trails are wonderful,
Mm.
it pales into comparison what you have here. There's just no there's no point to compare. It's just absolutely spectacular.
And while we
And,
are sharing with the audience through this
mm,
YouTube channel, we are showing
mm.
them a lot of pictures too, which is
Yes, I will do. I will do.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd be very happy to. I always enjoy talking to people about New Zealand. And actually, on the next stage of our road trip, we're going to go to one of the more famous national parks.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of land in New Zealand to begin with, but a lot of it also is reserved for public use.
Okay.
So it's for all New Zealanders. Tourists even, they all go there, and under normal conditions, they all flock to the parks, to the seas, and they go. Okay, a bit of Kiwi slang here. We call it tramping. So for normal people, that's hiking.
Sure.
And
Let me ask you,
you can
you
go.
think you're on a road trip right now. People
Yes,
know
yes.
like Taiwan, for instance, very well. So it's like an island.
Hmm.
Say New Zealand
Right.
you have two islands. You live
Yes,
in Auckland, right? So
that's right.
what route
That's
did
right.
you take? Like you go up north and then around the coastal area from east to north, and
This
then
time,
how
yeah, this time,
what,
this
what
time not. We flew down to the South End and we picked up a camper van there. So it's
that did you say? Yeah.
yeah, Queenstown. We started off,
Okay.
and we just took it very slowly. You could easily spend a month just traveling around
Hmm.
the South Island only, and you would not be bored. And there's
Okay.
just so much to see.
Yeah.
And also, people don't really get a sense of the scale of the country. It looks very tiny on a map, but it takes a long time to get around because there are lots of mountains and rivers, and the roads don't go straight. So you do need to allocate a proper amount of time to see all the places you want to see. I remember telling a lot of Hong Kong friends um, my recommended road tour, the itinerary, and they were always surprised about the length of time. I mean, if you were to spend 2 weeks just around one island, I think that's quite rushed, because you would just spend most of the time driving from one point to another.
So everything is a road trip. You don't have to fly to a place,
You
unlike
don't. You don't. No, no. It's quite possible to drive both islands because between the two islands there's a ferry,
Hmm.
and you can drive on and drive off. I think you have these in Canada too, right? So you just take your whole, even a caravan, you can drive onto the ship
Yeah.
and spend a few hours along on the water and drive out the other side and continue your holiday.
Well, I remember when I was having my honeymoon many years ago.
Mm.
I started in Sydney, but I have to fly
Mm.
to Tasmania. That's the only place
Mm. Mm.
hop on the plane. Maybe to Melbourne as well. Yeah. So otherwise, you
Right, right.
drive definitely
Mm.
if you like driving, if you like road.
Mm.
Any Harley Davidsons there? Any motorcycle clubs? Any chance?
I'm sure there are. You see a few cyclists, motorcyclists on the roads.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. I guess the lifestyle is quite different, and then
Mm.
Hong Kong is under what I call a political purge right now, and I see
Yes.
more and more people will be arrested, and then even the judiciary. I think it's something that the Chinese Communist Party try to go after because if you say the three pillars in Hong Kong, legislature,
Mm.
administration, and they have full
Mm.
now they want to
Mm.
have full control of the judiciary as well, which is the court.
Mm.
Um, so I don't know how things will play out, but definitely a lot of people think for young people, if they can start or restart again, it might not be a bad thing if they really want to so-called reclaim Hong Kong one day. So it's not a bad
Mm. Mm.
way. Yeah. Which is a
Mm.
sad thing. Yeah. You live in Hong Kong
It
for
is. It is.
how
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
is, but then
I
talk about New Zealand. Really look forward to visiting New Zealand. I actually got a relative in New Zealand. I don't know where she lives.
yeah. There's no excuse then. You have to come.
Yeah. But last but not least, talk about education. Now, you went through
Hmm.
the system from kindergarten all the
Yeah.
way up, right? There, how many universities are there? Are they mostly in
Oh,
Auckland?
they're quite. No, no, that's not true. We have a lot now. Because in the last 20 years, they added half a dozen at least, I think. So maybe up to around 10 or so. I've lost count. The very old ones, I think you can probably count on fingers of one hand. So there's the University of Auckland,
Hmm.
Otago, Canterbury, Victoria. Those are the big ones. One in each of the four largest cities.
Right.
But there are more specialized universities recently. So
Hmm.
nearby here, there's a university called Lincoln, which specializes in agricultural subjects.
Hmm.
Of course, this being a very agrarian economy, so this is a big part of what we do here.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah. And I think you can take advantage of the exchange rate too. I mean, compared to Aussie dollars, it's
it's close now. It's close. If you've kept an eye recently, I think the Kiwi dollar has edged up again. It's getting closer to parity. So I think we're around 95
really
Aussie cents
okay. Okay.
per Kiwi dollar.
Hong Kong exchange rate to New Zealand dollars and also
Yeah,
yeah. But
yeah.
definitely the living expense it's lower compared to Australia, right? For New
I
Zealand.
would say so. Yeah, yeah. It has become more expensive, but I would say it is slightly better here, especially if you want to live in a smaller city. Um, I think the temptation is for most new immigrants, they like to go to Auckland, which, although it's not the capital, it's the largest city, it's the commercial center.
Right.
It
So
has the most facilities.
yeah, let me tell you the exchange rate this morning. One New Zealand dollar
Mm,
is 5.39 Hong Kong. One Aussie dollar
mm,
is like 5.66 Hong Kong.
yeah,
One
yeah,
Sing
sounds about right.
5.76 Hong Kong. So Sing and
Right.
Aussie, it's almost the same. And New Zealand, you are right.
Yeah, yeah,
Aussie dollars has
yeah.
gone. Actually, all the Five Eyes countries currency have strengthened relative to the U.S. dollars, and Hong
The
Kong is.
US, yes, that's right.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Mm.
I guess we can stop here.
Hmm.
There's more to share next time. Let me just stop.